Namaste and greetings. Hello and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts, a Centers for Spiritual Living teaching center. I am Reverend Dr. Raymond Anderson, the founding minister and the spiritual director. If you have questions about what is a teaching center, who is Reverend Dr. Raymond Anderson, what is Centers for Spiritual Living? What is metaphysical spirituality? Feel free to send an email to spirituallyintegratederarts@gmail.com. The website with tons of information will be available soon. In the meantime, feel free to follow us, to join us, to subscribe via Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and our YouTube channel. For more information, as I said, send an email, look for us, join us. I look forward to chatting with you more very soon. Much love, appreciation, and all of that. Blessings. It's May, and May means every day, every Sunday this month, you have an opportunity to join us for the After Message Fellowship. If you do not already have the Zoom link, send an email to spirituallyintegratederarts@gmail.com, and Tracy and or I will send you the Zoom link so you can join in our After Sunday Message opportunity to chit chat, to follow up on the message, to ask questions, to just get to know folks in this beloved community. Every Sunday, as of right now, every Sunday this month. You got that? Did you write that down? So are you ready? It's May, which means a new theme. The theme for May, light within the shadows. The blurb, the summary, light and dark coexist together and cradle each other in support, in mutual relationship and support. Keep that in mind. There isn't one without the other. They each have their own traits and characteristics, their own power. They may seem to operate independently, but actually they are a pair that think yin yang. They are a pair that work in unison as complements within the spectrum. And actually, so that you can see this a little better, generally, we have learned to embrace the light as good and avoid the darkness as bad, given its unknowns and its mysteries, because we fear the unknown and the mystery. However, the two work powerfully in synergy together. And this month, we are exploring how to appreciate and welcome both light and dark for what they each bring and offer to us in our lives, offering themselves to us and through us and as us. So today, specifically, we are talking about the inner and outer spectrum. Because as spiritual beings living, now I know you've heard it, we are spiritual beings living a human experience. No. Reverend Ray's remix. We are spiritual beings living a spiritual experience that we call human. We live from both the inner and outer spectrums of life, of existence, of our divinity simultaneously. We process various things internally or inwardly through our thoughts and our emotions. We express them outwardly as we interact with others within the surroundings and within life in general. Both positions, both perspectives, both energetic stances provide us information. They color and flavor the whole experience of our lives. Both of them have depth and breadth, and each help shape our combined reality. Both the inner and outer spectrums are necessary for our growth and our evolution. Both are necessary for our growth and our evolution. Both are necessary for our growth and our evolution. When in alignment, the inner and outer dimensions work in harmony. They work in healthy partnership in our lived experiences. Let that sink in. Because as we talked about last month, vulnerability, well, this month, this whole idea of darkness means the mystery, means being vulnerable, being willing to step into that space of, I have no idea, it's the unknown. I have no idea, it's the mystery. I have no idea. And yet I continue to move anchored in principle. Oftentimes, once again, this dichotomy of, this binary of dark, light, good, bad, blah, 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 blah. We often think in terms of in or out. Are you in the community or are you out of the community? Are you in this class or out of this class? Are you whatever, et cetera, et cetera. And in order to really dive into what we're talking about this month with the darkness and the light, it's not about being in or out, but in and out. It's both and simultaneously. Both and. Okay, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind as we continue. There's going to be a remix of this. Dr. Holmes says, God is an infinite presence and an indwelling reality. The silent whisperings of this inner presence come to each as a divine revelation, an inner communion of the individual spirit with the oversoul. The remix. God is an infinite presence and an all-dwelling reality, the ever-present voice of this ever-presence comes to each as a divine revelation, an innate communion of the individual spirit with the oversoul being the supreme reality or mind, the spiritual unity of all beingness. Let it sink in. Because this thing that we're talking about is you, God, an infinite presence, showing up as you, an all-dwelling reality, showing up as you, the ever-present voice, the ever-present expression of this ever-presence is coming to you, through you, and as you, as divine revelation, an innate communion of the individual expression of your spirit with the allness of spirit. Both and. Speaking of both and, what's in the box? When you see this, what's in it? Assuming that this is a see-through box, What do you see in the box? Nada. Okay, cool. Got you. Where is this person standing? Where are they standing? They're just standing somewhere. Well, for the sake of our conversation, let's put them in the box, right? When they don't move, and yet they're in the box contains them. You got that, right? For the sake of our conversation right now. Okay. However, what I want to do is we are set free when we no longer are held within the confines of the collective consciousness. Okay? We are no longer held within the confines of the collective consciousness. Whatever those non-life affirming dogmatic ideas are, the non-life affirming fears, whatever they are, when we are no longer bound by. Because see, when we really think about this, the individual did not move. The individual, that ever-presenceness, the isness and allness incarnating itself, is there. And see, what happens is they are born into a system that confines them, the collective consciousness. And what we are talking about and what we are practicing is this spiritual thing called science of mind and spirit, which then gives us the ability to separate ourselves from the confines of a non-life affirming dogma, the non-life affirming fears, the collective consciousness of whatever that is. Take it in. Are you in the box? Yes, because we still exist within the collective consciousness. However, what we are aiming, what we are intending, what we are envisioning is the ability to so. Did you ever see The Matrix? And there's a scene where Keanu Reeves' character, Neo, Mr. Anderson, is having a conversation with this little bald boy. And little bald boy is talking about bending the spoon. And he says, the thing is to realize there is no spoon, and what you are truly bending is your mind. And when you bend your mind, the spoon must bend. Woo, doggy, as Jed Clampett would say. Therein lies our practice. To realize that we have the ability to color outside of the lines. Just like the Matrix, some rules can be broken, others bent. Some lines we color within, some we color outside of, some we cross. Because ultimately, the practice of coloring outside the lines moves us into the energy of being able to live outside the lines. We live outside of the confines of the collective consciousness. Understand, the collective consciousness, the more traditional or fundamental religions would have us believe that God is an anthropomorphic deity, an old white guy with a long beard sitting on a throne on a cloud somewhere in heaven. Yet we understand that we are able to exist outside of the confines of that paradigm. We don't believe in that, nor do we practice that. But we understand that it exists. The lines exist until such time as we are even able to eradicate those lines. There will always be some lines of some sort somewhere. Speed limits are lines. Laws, regulations, constitutions, bylaws are lines. We live within the lines. A EKG, lines. X-rays, lines. Size of a shirt, lines. Color of a shirt, lines. Price tag, lines. Follow what I'm saying? There will always be lines of some sort. The goal is for those lines to be life-affirming lines and not non-life affirming lines, not lines that bind. See, understand that an anchor, neither good nor bad, an anchor can prevent you from moving when you want to move or keep you stable when you don't want to move. You got that, right? So the anchor isn't holding you back if your goal is to stay put. Yet if your goal is to travel and the anchor is there, then the anchor is holding you back. So it's How do I get greater clarity on, is my goal to stay put? Then where is my anchor? Am I grounded? Is my goal to move? Where is my anchor? Do I need to? Lines that confine in a non-life affirming manner and lines that confine in a life affirming manner. But either way it goes, we are living beyond the idea that there are lines that confine. Dr. Holmes says, there, through the door of our own thought, we enter into the universal consciousness, into a complete realization of life and truth, of love and beauty. Through the door of our own thought, our mental equivalent, through the door of our own thought, we enter into this universal consciousness. The door of our own thought. Once again, a door can be a entry point or a door can be an obstacle. When you see a door, what do you see? When you think of a door, what comes to mind? Are you locked in, locked out, locked up? When you think of a door or a doorway, what comes to mind? Barrier, gateway. And what does it mean for the door of your consciousness? Is it locked tight? Is it wide open? Is it so open that the entirety of source and spirit, the entirety of the universe, is readily accessible to you? Keeping in mind that there was once a very wise teacher by the name of Yeshua who said, I am the door. If anyone enters by me, they will be saved and will go in and out and find pasture. Now, our remix of this understanding is to understand that the I am that you are is. You are the I am. I am that I am. That I am is you. This way in, the way in, and you are transformed through your own realization of this. When you realize that you are the I am, right? That way in. When you understand that you are the I am, you are transformed. Your realization that you are the divine. When Ernest Holmes said the only God that any of us would truly know or understand is the one that we embody, it's that realization. I am. And in this realization, you are free to navigate your life and your experiences without the confines of whatever collective conditioning would have you be indoctrinated or held back, held down, held prisoner. When you realize who and what you truly are. And oftentimes it is the very light and darkness aspect of this that terrifies us so that we don't realize who and what we are. Because, see, the moment you realize who and what you are called to a greater realization, greater activity of your life. To whom much is given, much is required. As Uncle Ben taught Spider-Man, Peter Parker, with great power, with great realization comes great accountability and responsibility. That's one reason why we avoid this, because it terrifies us to know how truly powerful we are. It terrifies us to operate in alignment, in balance with the dark and the light, with the divine, with the sacred. It terrifies many of us. So we avoid it. We create excuses. We lock the door of our thought. We lock the door of our mind. We lock the door of our consciousness. And we refuse, knowing that we have the key, we refuse to use it. Yes, there will be a remix. Dr. Holmes says, we are living in a spiritual universe, which includes the material or physical universe. The remix. We, spirit incarnating, are living. There is only one life, and that life is God. In a spiritual universe, there is only God, which includes the material or physical universe, which is God expressing the body of God, as it says in our Declaration of Principles. We, spirit incarnating, are living. There is only one life, and that life is God. In a spiritual universe, there's only God, which includes the material or physical universe, which is God expressing all of it. God. The sidewalk, the buildings, the signs, the shoes, the coats, the jackets, each person, the cars, all of it. Spirit manifesting, the body of God expressing individualized expressions of the divine. What changes in our lives when we walk down a busy street and recognize God in everything and as everything we see and everything we touch and everything we smell? It's all God expressing. Does it then make a busy New York street just as sacred as a labyrinth? Does it make it just as sacred as any sacred site potentially? Do we have to be somewhere labeled as sacred to find God, to recognize God, when God is everywhere, all the time? What potentially changes when in this busy street that we tend to, oh, it's so busy, it's so hectic, it's traffic, and it's loud and it's noisy. But in the realization that God is present, in the realization that God is all, then God is here. Can I find the divine even in the midst of the noise and the chaos and the confusion and the traffic? Can I still find that balance point, the light and the dark, the divine, the holy, and the whole, WHOLE, in all, as all? Rumi says, little by little, you will turn into the whole sweet, amorous universe or amorous universe. Love will surely burst you wide open into an unfettered, booming new galaxy. Little by little, you will turn into the whole sweet, amorous universe. Love will surely burst you wide open into an unfettered, unbound, booming new galaxy. Love will, unfettered, booming. Love will, little by little, divine and amorous universe. Thought by thought, little by little, the beloved community, a world that works for all. Love shining forth, love booming forth. The expansive consciousness booming forth. Shining in, through, and as you, right here and right now. And even more, little by little, and even more, little by little, and then even more, little by little. As Howard Thurman says, I determine to live the outer life in the inner sanctuary. As you see, there's a lot of remixes this week, huh? Reverend Ray's remix. I determine to live first within my own consciousness. As I choose, which I then demonstrate in my outer experience and conditions. As I choose, which I then demonstrate in my outer experiences and conditions. It is done unto me in accordance with my mental equivalence. I determine first to shift and live within my own consciousness, my mental equivalent. And as I choose to do so, that which is already existing, fully formed and fully functioning within must express, must demonstrate, must manifest outwardly. How clear am I, though, of what is going on within my consciousness, my thoughts, my words, my emotions and feelings and my actions? How conscious am I of what is the predecessor to this action? Comfort eating. What is the predecessing emotion that is triggering me to want a dozen cookies? What is the predecessor that is in thought to the feeling to the cookies? What is the predecessing thought to the whatever it is, the words of I can't stand them and I hate them and I blah, 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 blah. I will never forgive them. Whatever that is, whatever that is, whatever that is. What is the thought? First cause. What are the words? What are the feelings and emotions? What are the actions? If we're not aware, then we can't truly, consciously determine to live first within our own consciousness, etc. We can't do it. It's going to be based upon a default setting. We're going to just be on this merry-go-round of what I did yesterday, I'm doing again today, because I'm always thinking of the exact same things I did before. Once again, I see Tracy's face right now. If we want something new, we have to do something new by being something new. I determine first consciously to shift my inward consciousness, my mental equivalents, my thoughts, my words, my emotions and feelings, and my actions, so that they are in alignment with principle. They are in alignment with what I desire and deserve to experience in my outward experience and life, individually and collectively. And then I demonstrate it externally in my lived experience and conditions. It is done unto me according to my mental equivalent. So let me get very clear on what is my mental equivalent. Understanding that whatever that is doesn't exist solely in one space, right? If God is all there is and God is showing up as you, then when you are meditating, God, that's your spiritual practice. When you are at work, God, that could also be seen as your spiritual practice. Understanding that it doesn't matter, you are the common denominator. It doesn't matter what the container is. The container is meditation studio, meditation practice. That's the box. Those are the lines. I'm at work, the office. I'm at work, my place of business. I'm at work. That's the confines. Those are the lines. When we understand that we are the common denominator, God, we are the common denominator, source, we are the common denominator, spirit, then it doesn't matter where we are always it, our divine and glorious selves. See, this is one reason why I truly love and admire all of our transgender and non-binary and gender fluid, gender non-conforming, gender rich siblings, because they are a clear demonstration of what it means to live in alignment with your truth. What they know to be their innate truth, they manifest externally. So what is in and what is out align. And they don't care about what you think they should look like or how they should dress like, or they don't care. It's about living in alignment with their truth. What would happen if we all did that? Imagine if we all had the audacity to live our lives that authentically and that real. Then there could be no politicians who now want to deny them medical care, medical coverage to help them live their true selves. Let that sink in. If more of us lived by the example that they are setting, to be real, to be true, to be honest to our innate divinity, then there would be no people who stand in opposition to their or anyone's ability to live their best lives, their most authentic lives, and their real lives. Now, the question is, are you willing to step into and live outwardly as your divine truth self? Sue Morter says, there's going to be a remix. Today is the episode of Remixes. The soulful self to continue to come into the body with all of our spirit self so we can know and experience our wholeness here on earth. The soul self to continue to come into the body with all of our spirits, not some of. This is why I say we are spiritual beings having a spiritual experience that we call human. There is no part where our divinity and humanity separate. They are one and the same with our whole spirit self, so we can know and experience our wholeness here on earth. The remix, the soul self, being all there is, must continue to also be in the body, which is all of our spirit self as well, unified as one, so we can know and experience our wholeness and oneness in our lived experiences of heaven on earth, or as we would call it, a world that works for all. Let it sink in, because this is the invitation. This is the practice. To understand, there is no line that separates or segregates you from the divine. Only the divine, living, moving, and having its beingness in, through, and as you. And all of you is it. Your thoughts are, your feelings are, your actions are, all of it is. So why not go out and live your best and most powerful lives? Oh, that's right, because we're afraid of the mystery, we're afraid of the unknown, we're afraid of failure, we're afraid of all of the things the collective consciousness has convinced us, indoctrinated us, and brainwashed us to be afraid of. They don't want us to remember. It doesn't want us to remember our wholeness and oneness, because there's power in that. If we live our lived experiences based upon lack and scarcity, there's power for others in that. So it benefits them to keep up. Oh, that's right. That's the way the system works. That's why we're taught color within the lines, work within the lines, follow the rules, believe this, don't question that. Do as I say, not as I do. That's why we have all of those catchy phrases. But the invitation is this: acknowledge it, recognize it, and live it. Now, disclaimer, because I'm going to talk about Ronald in a second, and I want us to understand this is not a slam on McDonald's, right? I'm just using this as an example because I love this photo that Tracy took. So the M that Ronald has on his chest for today's conversation represents metaphysical malpractice, the misalignment of our mental equivalents. Now, that M could be on another day mystery, magic, metaphysics. That M could be any number of things. For today's conversation, it's metaphysical malpractice and the misalignment of our mental equivalents. We're always mentally equivalent with something. Are we aligned with that, or are we aligned with that? If I say I want to be aligned with peace, but I'm aligned with that, then I am misaligned with peace because I am aligned with this. Okay. Now, what does this have to do with anything? Well, when we are bound by the confines of the collective consciousness, it wants to condition us to say, do you want a burger? Do you want some fries or some cookies? Or do you want to hold a grudge? Do you want to be unfocused? Want to forget who you are? Want to live a lie? Therein lies the thing. It's trying to get us to forget. It's trying to get us to practice this other misalignment. It's trying to get us to follow. It's trying to get us to accept the brainwashed paradigms and consciousness. Because the collective consciousness, the system that is deeply rooted in control and fear. Now, that being the case, we're going to come back to that. That being the case, keep in mind that the goal is freedom, the goal is emancipation, because religious science technically is a liberation theology, not the way Catholicism created it, but nonetheless, it is a liberation theology. And as Howard Thurman says, and mind you, Howard Thurman, a mentor of Reverend Dr. King, Martin Luther King Jr., in the stillness of the quiet, if we listen, we can hear the whisper of the heart, giving strength to weakness, courage to fear, hope to despair. In the stillness of the quiet, when we are with ourselves deeply and profoundly, we hear, we know, we are nurtured, we are supported, not by something external. We are nurtured by our innate divinity. We are nurtured by our innate oneness. Now, as I said, we'd be back to this because it's that very thing in the quietude, in the stillness, when we are being tempted and lured, as Satan tempted Yeshua, when we are being, you want a burger? You want to forget who you are? Remember the Matrix. So I want to be put back in the Matrix and I want to forget all of, remember, that's what dude wanted. He wanted them to put him back in and wipe his memory. There are some of us who would love to exist because we believe that ignorance is bliss. And yet, once again, Howard Thurman says, in the quiet, in the solitude, in the stillness, there is courage, there is strength, there is love. So when we are tempted, when we are triggered, I know who I am. I know what I am. I know why I am. I will not be distracted from the truth of my being. And as we said last week, I ain't going to let nobody turn me around. I ain't going to let no cookies turn me around. I ain't going to let no forgetting turn me around. I ain't going to let no metaphysical malpractice turn me around. I'm keeping my eyes on the prize. I'm keeping my vision set. I'm keeping my vision clear, so profoundly intact, aligned in principle, that the collective consciousness then wants to know, can you show me how to live like that? Can you teach me how to live like that? Which then offers us the opportunity to do exactly that. Several weeks ago, we talked about Robert Frost in the poem, we dance round the ring and suppose, but the secret sits in the center and knows. When you know, not just believe, when you know, then you speak in alignment with truth. You speak because you're thinking truth. You speak it, you feel it, you live it, you act it, and your life changes for the better. And because your life is the life that is God, the ripples affect everyone. It doesn't exist in isolation, it doesn't exist in a vacuum. Because when you are living your best life, you are now willing to have conversation with others to transform. Breathe. This week's practice conversation points for the Thursday night study group. Ready? 1. What are some ways to detect if your inner and outer spectrums are in or out of alignment? 2. What are 3 actions that can be taken to bring them both into alignment? 3. What are your greatest opportunities for growth within the inner and outer spectrums? 4. What are 3 of my biggest lessons learned within the inner and outer spectrums? And lastly, what additional calibration, recalculating, what additional calibration is needed for me, for you, as you explore your inner and outer landscapes? It's a lot to consider this week. I'm sure this Thursday y'all gonna have some real good conversation. Woo! I might have to eavesdrop. I might have to show up on that one. So we breathe and anchor in, because this week's affirmation or declaration, I will say it first. And as I always say, if you feel in alignment, if this rings true for you, resonates for you, say it with me on the second go round. My inward and outward journeys and experiences are perfectly aligned, which we could say, my light and my shadow are perfectly aligned, and I live accordingly. But second go round, are you ready? My inward and outward journeys and experiences are perfectly aligned. And as we shift into the energy of prayer, where we simply anchor in and know the truth, as Yeshua said, when you pray, pray as though you already have the thing you are praying for. So we begin with gratitude, grateful for this community, grateful for this teaching, grateful for this opportunity to come together, to remember, to recalculate, recalibrate, to renew, to restore, to refresh the truth of our being. Grateful. Grateful to know that there is the opportunity to color outside of the lines, to live outside of the lines, to live out loud, to explore the shadow, the mystery, the unknown. For that is the very place that there is balance and harmony, yin, yang, darkness and light, one and the same, the divine spirit expressing. Grateful. Grateful to know that when this thing called our Sunday message comes to a close, the manner in which we go out and live this, the manner in which we go out in the world and live this is what's shifting and shaping the way we have conversations with others, the way we look at others, the way we see God in, through, and as others, the way we walk down a busy street. All of it is the energetic impulse of creation, shifting and changing the collective consciousness, upgrading the collective consciousness so that there is peace on earth, so that there is safety, so that there is equity and justice, healthcare, so that there is love and food and clothing, so that there is all of what the beloved community means as the new set point for the collective consciousness. And we breathe this gratitude because the law says yes. And this sacred yes means that this is already answered prayer. It is already here. It is already now. It is already fully formed and fully functioning in the one mind. And the mind that is God is the mind that I use. It is the mind that you use. It is the mind that is. And if it's already fully formed and fully functioning, then what is there for me to do? What is there for we to do but live it? Live as though it already is. Speak as though it already is. Feel as though it already is. Practice as though it already is. Be it. Know it. Live it. Practice it. Be it. Right here and right now. It already is. It already is. It already is. And so it is. Namaste, blessings, much love and appreciation, and see you over in Zoom, like in a minute. No, like go now, because I'm getting ready to close this. So go over.